Welcome to West Virginia and Commonplace. I do tons of episodes, but there's one person that has eluded me, and he gonna say what he want about it, but I'm gonna say it like this. On September 9th, 2021, I was talking with this podcaster, a little bit more than a podcaster, and his name is Uncle Dolemite. And I presented him like I do everybody else with one of my scripts. And I do this because like once I get a hold of you and I hear about what you're doing in the business, and that's podcasting, motherfuckers. And I did use motherfuckers. Um, it's just one of those things. Like if you don't know who Uncle Dolomite is, you're not listening to podcast. And I ain't gonna shoot this man's horn or give him some crazy ass praises that he probably don't already get. But the thing is when he comes out with episodes, he makes profound episodes with profound proverbs. You can put them shits on a meme and put his picture on there with the sunglasses like he always got on, even when it's dark. I don't know why he got sunglasses on when it's dark, but still got the sunglasses on. You can take a lot away from what he says. He don't put out bullshit. He don't put out no crap. And entitled inside this episode, this one is one of the ones. I'm good with the titles. This one is called "The Gift and the Curse." So, without further ado, I'm gonna pass the mic over to Uncle Dolomite so he can do his extra long entrance. Entrance into to this episode. Tell these people about you. Do all the things that you normally do. It's yours.
Good evening, motherfuckers and motherfuckers. It's Uncle Dolomite, like he already said. I don't really have to do too much more introing than that, nigga. I'm the host of the Too Much Game podcast. That nigga in particular. And now I'll leave it at that.
All right. So
Short and sweet, nigga.
okay, I like that. Um, on the West Coast, it's a different vibe. I'm actually out I'm the north south, so I'm the south north also on the Mason Dixon line for everybody. But this thing right here, being a voice inside podcasting is a hard thing to do because you got people like you and you got people like me. So we two different totally people, but we click on a weird level because I'm the king of the suburbs, you're the king of LA. And it's a hard thing to do because it's a middle between us sometimes on certain things. Because sometimes you gotta take a step back, and I gotta take a step back because we all come from a struggle, but then we don't. I don't come from all the struggle that everybody else comes from, and you don't come from some of the struggle that some other people don't come from because we different areas. But your voice, when people hear you, it's an effect on how they do things. It's a cause and an effect. So when you put out something really good and you got them parables, people got to stop. So what is it like having a voice? That's a hard question.
It's like it's basically like just me. I talk to everybody like they my little brothers. So for the most part, I just pretend like I'm the oldest on both sides. Like my dad got 5 kids and my mom got 4 kids. I'm the oldest on both sides. So basically, when I do my shows, I talk like I'm talking to my little brothers and sisters for the most part.
Okay.
And I just leave it at that. Like it's pressure because shit, as an older siblings, I feel like it's pressure to, make sure that your younger siblings do better than you did. But at the same time, like I don't really think too deeply into it. I just make sure that I have dope ass episodes every time.
Okay. Now you got coin phrases, motherfuckers and motherfucker hats. You got the t-shirts. You got all this stuff going on. It was a statement back on. We're going back to September 9th, 2021. Be careful of the company you keep. One raggedy house brings down the value of the whole neighborhood. That quote, when you did that, and that's why I'm talking about your profoundness. Now, I'm a professional in my own and what I do. Everybody knows what I do in this business, so I do what I do. But from that point on, that made me reassess a few things. I fucked up because I didn't reassess as good as I should have, and I'm gonna tell you that because we all know the story that happened later after I reassessed. So after I reassess, and I hear the statement, that's what I'm talking about you in this business. Like that statement from you right there. That is the type of stuff that all podcasters is in our medium tier podcasting circle, as I call it. That's the type of shit we talk about. Like I'm on the phone with Blase Baba, and we be like, "Did you hear that shit that Dolomite dropped on minute 32 in the episode?" So having that kind of pressure on you, that's a gift because I don't have that shit. Because I got to get out here. I do my shows, and yeah, I'm razzle dazzle and stuff. I got charismatic enigma and all that other Jeff Hardy bullshit, but I don't have a delivery that sits with people very long. I don't have like that the one memorable lines. You know that I'm gonna have some journalistic integrity because that's what I do, but I don't have that presence to make a statement that's gonna stay profound very long. Motherfuckers gotta I gotta come out with 4 episodes and you're gonna have to find 4 things that sound good and you're only gonna keep one. You can do one episode and they get that. So that's your gift. Now how do you take that in strides? And when I say take that in strides, I'm gonna give you this. That statement right there. Tons of people send you messages and have talked to you about that statement, correct?
Yeah. But like with me, a lot of times, like it comes from number one, like I was raised around old niggas. Like for the most part, like my friend group growing up, it wasn't people my age. It was mostly like older dudes, like my dad's homeboys and my uncle's homeboys. So I would sit under older dudes. A lot of what I noticed with how older dudes talk, it was always analogies. And then like growing up as an 80s baby in the 90s listening to hip hop music, it was always like metaphors and similes and shit. Like all the rappers who I liked would say dope shit that I would be like, damn, nigga, rewind that. What'd he say? So like as a podcaster, I just was like, I'm just gonna incorporate that shit into what I say as far as on my show. Like, what is an analogy that I could use to where even if I'm saying some shit that's super complex or something that may be deep to some people, I could explain it to where anybody could understand that shit. So parables, similes, and analogies is what a lot of people will catch and a lot of people will understand. So that's just how I break shit down for the most part.
Okay. And one thing that I've always liked about you, and you've even had to stick me on this at least in the last 4 months, like 6 times you stuck me on this, and you don't even pay attention to what you do for people. Minding your own business. I had a little riff with you know who and whatever happened, but I talk to you, and when I talk to you in certain circles, you always bring back that thing about minding your own business and not inflicting the wrath that you can inflict on people. That's one thing I like about you behind the scenes, and that's one thing I want to commend you on because I'm not a petty person all the time, but you have helped me at least 6 times. I can count on my hand 6 times where I wanted to put heat to streets. I wanted to put this fire out that I got, and you just told me chill. So with that right there, the minding your own business, because growing up like in the South or the East Mid Atlantic where I'm from, it's a little different when it comes to minding your own business. I mind my own business, but when business turns sour, it's everybody's business where I'm from. But where you from and over there, you got this mindset of minding your own business, and I've taken it from you. And this is even at 36 years old, like that motto that you got, just minding your own business. I focused that even into my life. Like I mind my business now better than what I did before. So how did you get that? Did you get minding your business at age 10, or did it happen at like age 9? When did it minding your own business happen?
Shit, probably kindergarten. Because like, and like I've had conversations with King Germ and like other podcasters, like I'll talk about like with the podcast beefs, like certain niggas they beef, that's what they do. And like remember with your situation with you know who, like me and Frocast, we admittedly was like nigga, we was instigating that shit. Like we to us, this shit is wrestling.
Right.
Like a lot of the beefs that happen in podcasting to us, it's like my nigga, it's promotion. Y'all niggas get into it. You say some bullshit about him, he say some bullshit about you. Niggas like, oh, I want to hear what podcaster number one gonna say about podcaster number two. Now we're gonna go listen to podcaster number two, see what he said about podcaster number one. Because like me and Frocast, we had a conversation probably like 2, 3 weeks ago about the shit. And I told him the reason that I don't really trip off a lot of this shit, cause nigga, I'm from really where niggas get killed at. Like nigga, I'm a real gang member out here. So it's like, nigga, I'm from where shit get real, real. And a lot of what keep you out of the shit that's real, real is minding your fucking business. Nigga, like, you stick your head out the window and bullets come flying through that motherfucker. So keep your fucking head out the window. You step outside when niggas is on some bullshit, you catch a stray bullet. Mind your fucking business. Like, I was taught this shit like as a kindergartner, like nigga, mind your own, live long. And I live by that. I stay to myself. I mind the business that pays me. A lot of people like to see what the fuck is up. Like, like nowadays with the culture of the shade room, baller alert, all these blogs, TMZ, you always want to know what another motherfucker got going on. And a lot of that shit takes the attention off of what you actually got going on. It'll slow you down watching another motherfucker run their race. So I just mind my own fucking business.
And I, like I tell you, I had to take a step back, and that's what I've become now. Like I mind my own, and I learned that it was certain circles that I thought I was part of that I'm not part of. Certain invitations in certain places, and then I realized like you got to get back to what made you what you was before you did any of this shit or got involved with these people or person. And I went back to that. So the gift is you help the community, and I hope that the community in some places help you. But you had an episode. It was 86, and remember, guys, I'm gonna reiterate this one more time. Some of the stuff from back in 2021. You had episode number 87, profanity free Happy New Year. You were known profanity is your first language. The English language is your second. So, what inspired this episode, and how did this come about?
My stepmother was listening to my show for some strange ass reason. Like my father was in the hospital at the time. So like I don't know why my stepmother was listening to my shit. Like I don't know how she stumbled upon my podcast because it ain't like I go around my family members and be like, "Hey, y'all, listen to my shit." Like I understand you'll never make $1 million within your circle. All your money is gonna come from strangers. So I don't even tell people who I fuck with about my podcast. So I don't know how she heard it, but she like a super Christian. Like she's a minister.
Okay.
So like she was like, "Oh, you don't think you can do that without using profanity? Do you think that your vocabulary is limited?" I said, "My vocabulary ain't limited at all. I just enjoy cussing. I literally do it because that's how I like to talk, not because I lack in any area." So it was more of a challenge to just let her know that I could do it more than anything. It was like a almost like a throwaway episode, if you will.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it wasn't even really that deep. It just was like, I'm just gonna do a fucking show without cussing. Fuck it, I ain't got nothing better to do. Watch this.
And that motherfucker came out. Now,
Yeah.
now, everybody knows I'm this guy that talks about the recording setup. So this is something I'm gonna throw in before we get into the curse part of this episode. You got one of the best setups in the thing. You're the one person that I'm gonna give respect to. You and Jeremy from Life Unplugged. Shout out to him on using the Roadcaster. Y'all know how to use it. Y'all do it right. Y'all know I'm the king of the Yeti. That's what I choose to use. So the thing that in podcasting, and we're gonna be truthful, and this is something I'm gonna say right here. You were one of the only people I know who started podcasting the right way. You started with the right material, you know, Roadcaster, decent mics. You did that part right. So I want to commend you for that. But what made you decide to go that route instead of coming over here to these beautiful USB mics?
Shit. Pretty much, and y'all will hear me say like I talk about the super producer a lot. Like the dude who I started with, being ready, the super producer who is the founder of Townhouse Media. Like pretty much he was the one who introduced me to podcasting in general. Like I always wanted to do a podcast since like 2006 when I heard Tariq Nasheed and the Mac Lessons radio show. Like that's what made me literally want to do podcasting. But back in them days, you had to have a fucking studio to do a podcast. So like it just was some shit that I wanted to do, but he was the one who actually was like, "Nah, nigga, I'm finna set you up so you can actually do it." So the setup that he had, he started out with like the big ass mixing board at first, but he always used XLR microphones. So when the pandemic hit, like shit, he was like, "Hey nigga, I'm on quarantine, so you can't use the studio no more. Like I gotta chill for 2 weeks." But I didn't want to miss no shows. So at first I was doing this shit on some fucking earbuds. But like once I, got my little money together, I bought a roadcaster. And he was the one who like set me up and let me know, like, okay, look, you get this microphone, because he bought me this microphone. Like he cashed out, he bought me this mic. But like my other microphones, I got two dynamic mics that I use when I have have guests in studio and shit. But like for the most part, it's just more of a situation where Ben Ready comes from the world of music. So his thing is always, nigga, the quality of your audio should be paramount. Because whether you good or bad, if your audio sound fucked up, that's gonna be noticeable. So even if you got a dope ass show, if you got fucked up audio, some people won't even want to hear that shit. If they hear your P's popping too hard or static in the background or niggas walking past or kids yelling or any of that shit. So like I always pay immense attention to how my audio sounded. So shit, he the main motherfucker that got at least my audio sounding good. Everything else I did.
Okay, okay, and I like that because you're one of the only people I can talk to about the different setups and different things like that. And I like what you do with the broadcaster, you and Jeremy. Other people need to take lesson. It should be a tutorial, too much game tutorial on how to use
YouTube
microphones.
too. Like literally, dog. The funny thing is I got tutorials on Instagram already. Like if you go to my page and go to like my IGTV and the series, it's under tutorials. I got one on on the Uncle Dolemite page and one on the Too Much Game Instagram page. One is like the production of like actually recording the show. And the other one is what you do when you uploading and doing the video of the show. But I might
Okay,
have to like release them bitches or something because
yeah,
I wanted to put it on YouTube, but it's a lot more fucking work than I thought it was gonna be. So I ain't doing that shit.
yeah, that's some extra upload. But this episode will be on YouTube, so we'll definitely I'll upload this shit, or one of the members will, probably Irish Steve. Now you do all this good stuff in podcasting, but it takes a toll on you. That's where this curse comes in this episode, the gift and the curse. The curse is this, in my personal opinion. When you make such a great quality that's inspiring, and this is something we said in our pre-call earlier, it's inspiring, so you can't make anything uninspiring. You can't, you can't, and I can honestly say that sometimes I got some shitty ass episodes. Some of them shits I'll be like, but you can't do that because if you do that, that's a and I'm not wrong in what I do because I my show's like crack, but it's yours is like, here's the best analogy I can give you. If you go inside your local store, which we're going to use Walmart, and you go over to the video game section, well, you a PlayStation 5, but I'm the accessories to the PlayStation 5. I can be any color, any variation can happen to me, but that PlayStation 5 better be a PlayStation 5. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, and it better be doing whatever it does. Or we'll just use the new Xbox. That's a good example. New Xbox, you got to work. You can't be working like the 360 or the Xbox One or the accessories.
Yeah,
So that curse right
it's
there.
a
How to
flagship podcast. I I consider it to be a flagship podcast. It's just like the iPhone Max Plus, whatever the fuck, or like the Samsung Galaxy Note, whatever the fuck. Like it's the top shit. Like, and the thing is, and like I've missed a couple of episodes over the course of the last couple of months because, like I would tell people, if it's not dope, I'm just not gonna drop it at this point. Because, like you said, like I've set a certain standard for myself and I don't mind it being that fucking standard. It's like a Mercedes Benz. Like I can't just put out a Honda Civic if I got a fucking Mercedes Benz emblem on the front of this motherfucker. It's a Benz at the end of the day. So it's like if it's not a Benz, I'm not gonna release the motherfucker, even if I gotta skip a year. Like nigga, a Benz is a Benz. I can't put out Honda quality with a fucking Mercedes logo on the front of that motherfucker. So like, yeah, it's more difficult because like if you listen to like more lyrical rappers, because like I kind of parallel myself with that. Like a lot of podcasters, I look at them kind of like popcorn. Like they just whatever the fuck, nigga. It's Tuesday. I gotta drop an episode. So whatever the fuck is on my mind on Tuesday, even if it's some bullshit, I'm just gonna throw that shit out. I can't fucking do that. It's like fucking Jay-Z or some shit. Like Jay-Z can't just put out a fucking mumble rap album. Like he can't just say, "Oh, niggas, It's June. I gotta drop a fucking album now. Like, no, nigga, if I don't got no hot shit to say, I'm not gonna drop a fucking album, nigga. If you niggas gonna wait 4 years, you're gonna wait 4 years, nigga. It's gonna be hot when it drops. So, like, that's kind of how I record now. Like, I'll try to write as much as I can and I'll try to drop as consistently as I can. But if my shit not dope, I'm just not gonna fucking drop it because I've put that much pressure on myself. And shit, at this point, and not to say it like that, but at the same time, I don't give a fuck. I'm just better than niggas. So if it's not better than what the fuck I hear, then it's not coming out. Like, I've told myself, it's like Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was saying he was the greatest motherfucker to ever do it before the world knew he was the greatest motherfucker to ever do it, and he lived up to that. So that's kind of the precedent that I set for myself. Like, this is gonna be the dopest episode of podcasting this week, period. So if I'm getting ready to record, I record it as if whatever the fuck these niggas put out this week, this is beating everybody. And if it's not beating everybody, I'll wait. I'll wait until it's good enough to beat everybody. Then I'll put it out. But that's how I record every fucking week.
Okay, and I like how you got into that competitive nature right there. Now, what you do for the audience that if you haven't tuned in, I'm just gonna say this: you do a one man army. You out there, you put in an hour and some change, sometimes a little bit longer, on a solo show. I mean, you've done shows where you bring people in, very few in between. And when it comes to this, um, I've heard at least one person try to come for the crown, and you shut that down really bad. Um, if you could, in a humble manner, is there anybody inside this podcasting game that is at least in your pillar?
Frocast. That's it. Like, the only motherfucker who I feel is fucking with me is Frocast. And Frocast is damn near on episode 500. Shout out to him for that shit, nigga. If I
Oh
could
yeah,
fucking
King Germ.
you know, give his ass a motherfucking air horn and shit. Nigga, shout out to Frocast for that shit. He almost on episode 500.
Yeah.
But
So
like, other than that, niggas is not fucking with me, dog. Like, and respectfully or disrespectfully, nigga, like, other niggas is cool, feel how you feel about homeboy, and he cool, that's my nigga and shit. But like, niggas is not fucking with me, just straight the fuck up, cause Frocast my nigga, and he cool and shit, but he number two as far as I'm concerned.
God damn, that's
And that's
heat
just
to the
how I feel
streets.
like, cause it's like this, dog. Like, I don't believe in fucking humility, and I'm sure he feel the same fucking way. Like, I don't think that if you ask Frocast who's better between him and me, I don't think he'll say me. I think he'll say him. So it's like, nigga, what the fuck are you doing this shit for if you think you number four? Like, I'm number one. And it ain't even that I think I'm number one. Like, it ain't a think. Like, I'm number one, period. So, like, I don't believe in humility. I don't preach humility. Like, I don't do shows telling niggas to be humble. Fuck humility. Like, don't be fucking humble. That shit is like weak as fuck to me. So, no, I'm number one. Like, Frocast is dope as shit. He's the closest, but ain't nobody else close.
Okay, and that right there, at some point we're going to have to put a capsule on that and get y'all together in a podcast Olympics, because I organize some silly shit like that, and we might have to do that in a podcast pop up. Now, going further with this curse, being as good as you are, and having to set these bars, we've already done that question, but when you listen to them, when you go back and play them back, because one thing about you in your episodes, sometimes you'll go back and you don't know the episode number all the time, but you will reference an episode and you will place it in there for your audience. And with knowing that you got so many parables and proverbs and different things that you say, how do you keep up with that shit?
Um, I just retain information good sometimes. Like, I got a bad short term memory, but a pretty good long term memory. So like, certain episodes, like, I'll literally forget I recorded most of that episode, but I do have certain episodes that like stick out in my head. Like, I got my favorites and shit. So like, depending on what I might be talking about, sometimes it'll bring me back to something that I said on the other episode. And like just as much as I'm a fan of sports, lyrical hip hop, and comedy, like it's a callback. You know, like if you listen, you know, if you a fan of comedy, you know what a callback is, where a comedian will tell a joke early in the fucking show, and then toward the end of the show, he'll reference that joke to bring you back to the joke early, you know, from
Yeah.
earlier. I kind of do that shit. It's like, okay, nigga, from episode 10, I said this shit. I might not remember the number a lot of times, but I do remember I said this shit before. But you know, like I say sometimes, like some episodes I plant a seed, other episodes I'm watering something that I already planted. So 9 times out of 10, if I'm just watering some shit, I'll reference you back to where I planted the seed. Like, hey, go back to this episode, and I talked about that shit like a year ago. So go listen if you want the whole breakdown of the fucking point I'm finna make. Listen to that episode because that whole episode was about this little bit of shit I'm finna say for a second. But you know, for the most part, sometimes I'll like listen to episodes and be like, "Damn, didn't I talk about that shit already?" Other times I'll just literally be like, "I don't remember, nigga. I just know I said that shit."
Okay. Now, a funny thing that going into this, right, and this is part of the curse. When me and you initially started talking about doing a show, you was like, "This is what you said." I don't know if you remember. You was like, "Man, let me get one of them podcast collide episodes." And I'm thinking I'm gonna remind you of the conversation. And I told you I was like, "No, I can't give you no podcast collide episode." And it was a little pause between us. It was like a day or two between that, and it wasn't nothing, no beef or nothing. But I explained to you that you was a little bit bigger than that. You was just like, and I was just like, when you asked it, I was like, nah, we're gonna do something big. I'm not gonna just bring you on just for some random stuff. And we have gone back and forth since September till now, to this point right now in March of a whole new year. And I got you here. So I do have to give you one podcast collide question that I ask everybody. And this is my favorite word to make you more personable to people that don't know who you are. Inside podcasting, we got beefs, whatever. I don't give a fuck about none of that because we grown and you got your persuasion, you got your mode on that. But what has been your biggest disappointment inside podcasting? The biggest.
Um, Niggas be thinking they cool. Like a lot of motherfuckers get these microphones in front of them, and they really like they think we some type of fucking celebrities off this shit. Like 90% of us don't make a dollar off this shit. Like this shit is literally like a long form social media profile almost. But like some niggas in podcasting, like they really get this fucking persona. Like they think that because they have this platform and they have people listening, that somehow they fucking more special than they are in real life. Like they're not the regular ass nigga that they are when they turn these microphones off. You know, so like we get a lot of fake friendships, a lot of fake beefs, a lot of fake relationships and shit. And it's like, nigga, once you turn the mic off, you're George. You know,
In the
once you
county.
turn the mic off, yeah, like nigga, you're a regular fucking guy, my nigga. You're not your whatever the fuck handle we use in podcasting. Cause you know, a lot of us have fucking nicknames and handles and shit we use. Like niggas be like weird in real life. And it's like, nigga, why you act like you the cool fucking podcast guy and when you turn this mic off, you a fucking dork. Like
And
that
I
that
can
shit
agree
is
with that.
that I think that's like the disappointing thing to me. Like niggas be taking this shit more serious than they should. Cause at the end of the day, for 99% of us, this shit is a hobby. None of us that we associate with use podcasting as their main source of income or their main living. We're all hustling in this shit. Like we all trying to figure it out. Like we all basically mixtape rappers right now. So it's like for dudes to think that because you got a fucking mixtape out, you Jay-Z, it's like the fuck out of here, nigga. But other than that, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I can agree with it. Like that that's strong right there. Cause like I'll even say this about myself, like because of whatever stances I take and whatever I do, it's on the merit of my background. Like I come from a background that markets and does stuff like that. So that's a different take. The one thing that get me, and talking to you about this now is a conversation I had with King Germ. It's when these people think that they above like above the podcasting, because I done dealt with some people and they won't you wouldn't Kindle or nobody like that. It's just been some people that have like these heavy ass egos and think that, oh, you gotta wait because everybody knows I got the little Snapchat thing. I told you how to get your numbers up that way, or I told you how to do this, or fix your mic, or turn your mic this way so you sound better. Stuff I didn't heard that somebody tries to sell for $800. But I've had some podcasters just come through and be like, "Yo, this is how my schedule works. You come do the show with me at this time. If you can't do the show with me this time, then fuck you." And everybody knows me. I'm the Kanye West of podcasting. When we do a show, we do a show. I don't set no defined time. Me and you talked about it this week, and I said I'm gonna catch you this week. I caught you. It's an unorthodox time. It's 2:24 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, East Side. Um, so we're doing a show right now. So that's fine with me. I don't like to commit to stuff because we're doing this for fun right now. This is not no make or break episode. This ain't gonna take me or you to the top. This is just because it's so many. I call them dream collaboration. You're what they call a dream collaboration. I used to be like that, but this is one of them things where I've been asked why haven't I done a show with you. Someone even asked like, "Do y'all got issues?" I'm like, "Nah." I saw this man on the phone. We talk about all kinds of dumb shit, trucking, all kinds of things. I said it's never the case like that. My biggest disappointment in this is that outside of that is that people think that because we podcast that we um gotta have some kind of internal strife against each other, or I gotta find a way to bring anybody down. But I go back to my man that you introduced me to, because you introduced me to quite a few people. Rod at Hunt. He put me onto a way of thinking. It's a Nas song called "Woo for the Children." Have you ever heard that?
Wu Tang.
No. Nas has a song called "Woo for the Children."
You said Nas did it?
Yeah, he's got a song called "Woo for the Children."
No, I don't think I'm not a Nas fan. That nigga not a fan of Nas. I'm not even gonna speak on him. I'm just not a fan of Nas. I'm just put
All
it
right,
that. I'm gonna leave it at that.
all right, we'll leave it at that for that part. But he said some real stuff about how people that make it somewhere in this business, and when they try to bring somebody up, somebody comes out their corner, and I bring the kid out in somebody while I'm trying to be a man, and at the same time they try to drag me down. And then that stuff, Hunt gave that to me, and I started listening to that. I was like, this happens sometimes, and it's shitty because when we had these strikes and these beefs, it ends relationships, and then it gives somebody a golden thumb, and that golden thumb they can pull it out one day on that person that attacked them and take them out of this. And when I say take them out of this, it kind of draws into this. I ain't talking about losing listeners. I ain't talking about like people losing confidence in what anybody else is doing, but you can control who fucks with somebody on the merit of what somebody does to you in this. So that's my biggest disappointment. I always tell people like I bite my tongue now. I bite the gun. I hear some lives sometimes and I just step away. I'm like, man, JR, you don't even fuck with lives. You, we see you on a live. It's about some informational shit about how to get the iPhone to turn into an Android type shit. So with all that being said, getting back over here to the curse. The curse for you disappears sometimes, and it usually happens when you drop that next episode. So the curse, it follows you. The gift, the curse. And that's what I wanted to put inside this episode, because for every episode you put out, the next episode could be the curse. And that's a hard fucking reality to live with. I seen I just spent a second and you just thought about that. You like, damn, that's some real truth to it. So with all that pressure and all that stuff, the next thing inside the podcast collide, and this is a question that I want you to help podcasters, because like you say, you the best out. Dipset on that term. So being the best out, what is the most, and I don't want to hear the shit about being consistent and all that extra shit, because you're not consistent and you should still flow. What is the best advice that I could put on a billboard in San Bernardino? That's where when I come out there, I want to be in San Bernardino. On that billboard, what best advice could you give a podcaster? And when I say give advice, I ain't talking about, oh, you're a fledgling podcaster and you're this and this. I'm talking about the podcaster that was hype at some point and then they shit fell the fuck off. What do you tell the podcaster that fell the fuck off? Talking about I'm about to pod fade. I'm tired of this. So I'm going to leave it all behind. What do you tell that podcaster?
Remember what made you dope and stick to that shit. Like a lot of motherfuckers, they try to do what they see and they think is dope. Like they'll hear somebody's episode and be like, "Oh, that's dope. I want to borrow that. Oh, I heard what this dude is doing. I want to start doing that." Like people will like hear my show and be like, "I want to start using sounds. Oh, I want to start wearing sunglasses. Oh, what kind of mic you use? Like, nigga, do what make you dope. Like, do what your listeners like. Do what make you feel comfortable. Like, what made you feel like I could do this shit. Stick to what made you feel like you wanted to do a podcast in the fucking first place. Like, what was it that made you say, I want to get a fucking podcast? Because instead of trying to fucking reinvent the wheel 1,000 times, just figure out, okay, I did this shit because I think I'm funny. Or I did this shit because I want to help fat girls feel confident. Or I did this shit for niggas who don't get their fucking hair cut. Like, and stick to that shit. Like, niggas be too busy trying to do what they feel will get them on. Like, do what they feel will get the fucking numbers. And like, I don't give a fuck, honestly. Like, nigga, I do what I like to do, and I'm the best at doing what I do. So I stay the best because I'm the best at what the fuck I do.
And that's on some Chris Jericho, Bret Hart shit right there. And CM.
Yeah. Yeah, nigga, I fuck with wrestling heavy. Not the new wrestling. I don't even know what the fuck CM Punk doing. Like after the Rock and Stone Cold era ended, I was off wrestling. Wrestling became weird to me. Like I never fucked with John Cena and shit, but before that, I was a big ass wrestling fan.
We'll have to have you do a little. We'll have to do a retro shit. Be you and King Germ on some wrestling shit because we need to
Man,
talking about that.
I might have to like send you my live that I did. It was me, King Jern, my homeboy Aladdin Saddam, and I forgot who the fourth person was, but we was talking about a lot of old wrestlers: Junkyard Dog, Iron Sheik,
Ooh,
Jimmy Superfly, Snooker, a bunch of motherfuckers. We talked for like an hour, like 2 hours on that live. I think I put it on YouTube and everything. I'm gonna send you the link to that shit.
yeah,
But
most definitely send that to me. Now, a lasting impression is something that not everybody gets to do. You do that with every episode, so we're not gonna cut into any spewel and have you give the listeners some of your crazy ass proverbs or anything like that. And I ain't saying crazy ass in a crazy tone. I'm just saying crazy because the length of what they do. What I want the listeners to do, I want you to go over to Too Much Game podcast and listen. Find you some shows, and with your podcast, you have to start at episode one. You can't do like you do mine and come through and grab two episodes and might like it, or go 45 episodes back and get it. You got to start at the beginning and keep going from there. Because if you don't do that, you're gonna get a feel for you, but you're gonna miss some knowledge because as you progress in podcasting, things change. The tone, the way you deliver has gotten to what you are today. Felt like a bowler. Somebody that bowls, when they first start out, they might be hitting the numbers right. But once they get into a certain set and they rolling with it, it's a whole different person from the time that they started, but it's still the same person. So Dolemite, right now, you on the spot for this one. You are the king of podcasting, and you saying the king of podcasting in every realm that you are in. What is the next big thing for you?
um, honestly, I'm not sure. Like I got some shit that I'm gonna be doing with Sugar Free soon. So
Ooh,
like as far as like what I would say is gonna be the next big thing is like working closely with Sugar Free. But for the most part, like shit, if anything, like I just tell people my numbers growing. That's like the biggest shit for me because I'm just gonna keep on doing what the fuck I do until I figure out some shit. Right now, all I'm focusing on is just dropping dope ass shit every motherfucking week. Like tomorrow, I got a cold ass episode. You know, like that shit you emailed me literally as you was fucking like as I was listening to that shit, I was writing. And I was like, nigga, this shit finna be so motherfucking cold. It don't make no fucking sense. And like I tweeted that shit because like something that you said about like the pressure of dropping a dope episode every time. Like I think that's like the only shit that like the pressure that I put on myself, like the only anxiety that I have when I turn the microphone on is like this shit better be as dope as I thought it was when I wrote it. Because I got episodes like that where I wrote it and I felt like it was gonna be way doper than it came out and ended up being. Like sometimes, like even when it comes to like me going back and posting my clips, it's like, why the fuck did I trip over that word right there? That shit would have been way harder if I'd have said that shit this way, or if my mind was where I was supposed to have it when I said that shit. Like at the end of the day, overall, the shit be dope anyway. But I do have times where I be like, damn, I wish I'd have said that shit different. Damn, I wish I'd have developed that thought before I said that shit, before I even fucking dropped a bomb and sipped the champagne. That shit would have been way harder. Like, or even certain shit that I'll say and be like, why the fuck didn't I drop the bomb after I said that shit? That shit was hard as fuck. But it's like at the end of the day, like I just keep a short memory about it. Like niggas make mistakes. So it's like the episode dope anyway. So I can only do what I can do at the end of the day. And that would be like something else I would tell people, don't be too fucking hard on yourself. Because as much as like I got episodes that I think are flat out garbage. I got at least 5 episodes that I can't even listen to because I feel like them motherfuckers is garbage. But people love them motherfuckers. So it's like, fuck it, nigga. Like somebody gonna like it.
That's wild. Because I'll tell you a story. On that one I sent you, I sent it out to you. I sent it out to Jay from the Cognac Room and Michelle from out of my camp. And then it was Frankly Francisco. That's the episode that'll never be released. Because it came
It
out,
was dope though.
huh?
It was dope though.
But the problem is,
I wrote some fire to that shit. It was like listening to like a classic beat. I was like, yeah. And
yeah,
nigga said he wanted to be Diddy. He Diddy on this one.
my problem with that is like with something like that. That's I've sent three. That's the first inspirational you got for me. But I drop them joints when I see something crazy. When I turn on Instagram, I see just something that's just so out the wind. And you know, in private conversations, I let you know what the wind is sometimes, and or all the time. But just in them cases, like that one was that was inspired by you. Like hearing how you did, I just got on the mic. I was like, I did my Diddy, not the shiny suit Diddy, the one that got the paid lyrics from Nelly or somebody or Rick Ross, and I just went and I was like, that's a mode because that's what we say out here in West Virginia. That's a mode. That's a move. And I just like, man, I wish I could do that like you all the time because that's what you do all the time. For me to do that, I had to get some Super Saiyan shit and get to level 3. I ain't even make it to 4 to 6 or whatever. Um, but here's the greatest thing about you and podcasting because I gave everybody a testimony, and my testimony is what basically makes my podcast. That's what I do at the very end of my shows. So, Dolemite, you're humble, even though you said you don't like to be humble or none of that shit. Thing about you is that you set a precedent, but you don't go out here and just take what you do and say, here, take this, let this influence you. Because your shit is so dope and it's got a tough message. Podcasters that listen, fans that listen, they spread the word. You're a conversation that comes up every week, even though I don't talk to you every week. I mean, I talk to you sometimes, but you come up like that. So that right there is something that's amazing. People share your shit without you ever knowing, unless they tag you. I have seen instances. I don't know if you've seen it all. I can't account to that, but I can say this. I know personally what I've seen when people share your stuff. Not every time do you get a tag in it, but people are sharing your stuff on the strength of that it's that damn good. Motherfuckers might share my shit just because I share their shit and whatever I do in the community. So I don't get that kind of respect. But you, not one of your episodes, has there been a time that somebody hasn't extra promoted it? So that's something I like because when I see that, I'm like, damn. You know, I always do that persona that I'm Diddy, but I'm like, damn, this dude is bigger than Mace. He is the Big. You like Tupac, right? So in that sense, let's just say it like this: the respect that you get in this industry is wholeheartedly not based on your work, but the character and how you carry yourself with people. Um, it was a live a few months ago that I jumped on out of nowhere. Uh, an episode that it ended up playing as an episode on yours. So I actually do got a credit on being on your show one time. So like you did that episode and then everybody came out the woodworks and it was crazy because it was one of them shining moments and me and people we still laugh about it. Like that I love that episode, you know. And it's stuff like that. Like you talk about like the versatility in podcasting. You do it all. As of right now, you done come on the Q&A podcast because there's four of us that's in the top of the Q&A podcast. You didn't come on every format, so you built yourself. Like you said, I ain't gonna be no Brian Westbrook out here. I'm gonna be Kobe. I'm gonna fit every episode that I can get into, and coming on my format is a different format because I'm question straight to the point. I'm not really that funny, but we can go with things. So for you to have that kind of versatility, you're Kobe Bryant out here. Kobe Bryant was in the gym like Allen Iverson from Virginia, like I am. Allen Iverson didn't practice. He was good, but he didn't last, and his hands is empty. But Kobe gets in the gym before everybody else and came out. He's still doing it in heaven or wherever you believe in. He's still doing that. So you doing just like Kobe out here. You sharpen your game. You're practicing it. You're not wasting time. You know when to do this. You know when not to do this. Kobe did the same thing. So that's my testament to you is that you got the Mamba mentality and having that and being able to show it and prove it is a hard thing to do because a lot of people can talk like they're walking, but they can't walk with their talk. And you can do that. And I want you to keep that forever because I mean, you know it, but sometimes when somebody reiterates it to you, you see it from a different light. Because I'm a different person than you. We on two sides of the track. That's different. And I can see it from all the way over here on top of the mountain. And that's just because I'm in West Virginia. I ain't saying it in success, but I'm just there. So definitely my testimony to you is this. What you do and what you have done in podcasting is greatly appreciated because it takes someone to be the number one face. There's Bret Hart, there's Shawn Michaels, there's Stone Cold, there's Rock. Even Triple H can't say that he held a brand that long. You are the Rock of this right now. You are the Stone Cold of this generation in podcasting, this move that's going on right now. So in that respect, I'm gonna hand the floor back over to you real fast. And this is what I need you to do. I need you to paint this amazing picture here. You've decided that you're gonna move up, you're gonna advance. You got the sugar-free show coming and all that stuff. But if there was a billboard, if there was a TED talk, because that's the type of shit I do, TED talks, you know what those are. If there was a TED talk right now and you was talking about how successful you are and how inspirational you are, what would that sound like?
Shit, just be dope in who you are. Cause real dope sell itself. You don't gotta sell dope. Dope sells dope. So just be fucking dope. Find what makes you dope and live in that shit. Like stick to what the fuck it is that makes you dope. Like other people do dope shit, but it ain't the dope that you sell. So just be your dope. Be your own brand of dope. Like don't let nobody spoil your fucking brand. Don't let nobody come and like fuck up what you got going on. Just because somebody else got something going on that you may like, yeah, it's cool to be fucking influenced. But never let a motherfucker dilute what you got going on because of what they got going on. Like a lot of motherfuckers will see somebody that got some fly shit going on and try to like ride that wave. And 9 times out of 10, that's how you get washed away in they fucking current. Like you go see what they doing and then you get lost in they fucking sauce. Like stay in your shit. Like the reason I feel like I'm so dope is because I live on my own fucking island. You either come to this motherfucking island or you don't. But the island is the fucking island, nigga. This is Hawaii. I'm not fucking Tahiti. I'm not Aruba. I'm not the Bahamas. I'm not Jamaica. I'm fucking Hawaii. If y'all motherfuckers want to come to Hawaii, come to fucking Hawaii. I got pineapples and shit. I got the best fucking pineapples in the world. Come get some fucking pineapples. But I'm not gonna do weed like Jamaica. I'm not gonna do whatever the fuck everybody else doing. I stick to what the fuck I do because what I do sell itself. So it is what it is.
Okay. Now, on that note, I'm gonna just cut this because that was perfect. That's how we should end it. I need you to do something because this is something vintage from my show. We call it shameless plug. Shameless plug is so people can know where they can find you, where they can just get involved with you. So real quick, Dolemite, give them the shameless plug.
Google the Too Much Game podcast. If you have a fucking Echo Dot in your house, tell Alexa to play the Too Much Game podcast. If you're on social media, Instagram Too Much Game podcast or Twitter Too Much Game pod. Buy some motherfucking merchandise. Too Much Game podcast .store. If you want to follow the memes and the funny shit, Uncle Dolemite on Instagram or at Uncle Dolemite on Twitter. That's where I crack jokes and talk shit at.
All right, and on that note, I am JR from West Virginia and Commonplace. And this is another one in the bag.